Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Monorail Monday. We are back for a 6th season of Monorail stories, Disney stories, behind-the-scenes stories, all sorts of how-to operational things, how things work, just things from the past about my time working at Disney in the 90s and a little bit of the 80s. So let's get ready here to talk about 5 worst guests I encountered while working at Disney. And this is not going to be stereotypes, this is going to be actual specific guest incidents, although some do fit into that category of guest kind of thing. But we're talking about some specific incidents that happened while I was working at Disney. We're going to go over the top 5 here, and this is going to be episode number 35. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, look below, look in the playlists on our channel, and they'll have the first 5 seasons worth of episodes, 34 fun-filled videos. So let's go with our top 5 worst Disney guests. Alright, so the number 5 is the last minute exchanger at the end of the day. This particular lady, as people often do, if you're in retail, you know this person who bangs on the door and I need one more thing, just let me in, please let me in. So this lady is banging on the door and she's just throwing a fit because she needs to get this one more item for her kid in our store in Tomorrowland. And we were located where Anti-Gravity's ice cream shop is now. There used to be another shop there across from Mickey Mart, and we had a lot of trendy stuff. We had Ocean Pacific shirts, we had swatches, we had those 90s framed holograms. So we had a lot of stuff like that. We didn't really have too much Mickey stuff. We had astronaut ice cream, astronaut fries, and stuff like that. So this lady bangs, and we finally let her in, and she starts browsing. Of course, she does not really have something set in mind. She just wants to wander the store. So she's browsing around for 10, 15, 20 minutes. We're like, we are closed. The park is closed. You need to leave now. So she finally does pick a couple of things out, and then she says, I need to exchange these. And we're like, you need to exchange them? She brings out this thing from her bag. She needs to exchange a t-shirt and a mug that she bought. She herself says she bought it 4 years ago, does not have a receipt, and says she's decided she doesn't want them after all. So she wants to exchange those for the new items. And of course, everybody's just, you can't exchange without a receipt. So we're going back and forth with her on this. Eventually, of course, the lead says, just give her what she wants. Just get her out of here. Let's get her out of here or whatever. And unfortunately, this is one of those things where Disney doesn't want to bend to bad behavior, but that eventually does, just to get rid of this problem person. One of my supervisors used to always tell me, if you have people go with complaints, they're going to tell other people, and then nobody will come to Disney. I always said false. If we had 39 million visitors and we get rid of all these complainers and they tell some of their friends, okay, we have 38.5 million visitors next year, we're going to have a much higher quality of visitor, and we're not going to be wasting money on people who are just trying to get stuff from us. Most people are not going to leave, especially after you look at social media today. The average Disney superfan is not being deterred by somebody who complained about trying to exchange 4-year-old items. So that's just not going to happen. But this person did it anyway, but she was very, nasty, abusive, and oblivious to everything, or maybe very cunning in the way she came in and shopped and just wasted everybody's time for a half hour when we could have been going home. So she is the number 5 worst Disney guest that I've met with. Number 4, the Poopy Diaper Lady. As you know, if you've ridden the monorail in the last 15, 20 years, it stinks. The monorail stinks. Maybe not as much with some of the interior replacements they've done, but basically the monorails are approximately 30 years old each. And they stink because people sweat in them. People do dirty diaper changes in there. People have thrown up in there. All sorts of stuff goes on in these monorails over time. But this one particular lady had done her dirty diaper thing, and she tried to give it to me as she was exiting the train. I pointed out to where the trash can was, where she could throw that away, and she just lost it. She just lost it on the platform and just started melting down, talking about how Disney needs to needs to show its magical assistance from the cast members. We need to do everything the guests ask. Well, we try and do things to make the guest happy, but you just coming up and here's my dirty diaper, you dispose of it for me. That's not happening, lady. So I kept trying to point her out, and she was just melting down, and everybody on the load side, once the train left, is just looking at her like she's lost her mind, which I think she may have. I don't know if she waited too long for Space Mountain, or if she spun too fast in the teacups, but this lady just really completely lost it. She finally did go and dispose of the dirty diaper herself, but I didn't know what to think of this lady, what was going on in her head. But she really lost it, and she was driving me nuts, and everybody else. It was not that uncommon to find a dirty diaper at the end of the night, closing down the train, or somebody made a changed a diaper and just left it there, sitting until some other guest points out, hey, there's a dirty diaper sitting here. People did this kind of stuff all the time. I don't know why they do it. I wish I could explain it, but they do it all the time. And it's nasty, and that is at least part of the reason the monorail stinks so bad. So that's the number 4. Number 3 is the entitled front car rider. And this is actually sort of a combination of several of these people. This is sort of the stereotype almost. But I've had so many people who would get very nasty about the front cab. This is back in the day when you used to be able to request to ride up front with the cab driver. So when basically what was supposed to happen, if you wanted to ride up front, you asked the person at the station, hey, we'd like to ride up front, and they would say, okay, we don't have anybody else waiting, we'll put you on the next one if it's available. Now if the train comes in and the cab is full, sorry, it's full and they didn't get out. So it's basically, you can wait for the next one, or you can just get on the train anywhere in the car and go to where you're going. Some people would choose to wait 1 or 2 trains to see if they could get up front. Some would say, forget it, we'll just get on this one. A lot of people did not wait to ask them. They just basically got in the first car behind the driver, and they would just like pop out every time we got out of the station. Hey, can we come up front? No, we load it from the station first. Somebody asks at the station, we'll take it from there. We don't usually take people from the train unless there's nobody on the platform that wants to get on, and there's nobody up front. You know, in that case we would take care of it. But we said we don't generally take people from the train into the cab. It just creates a huge problem with multiple people asking and everybody assuming, and people trying to make a race for the cab to see who can get there first. So most of the time it kind of worked out okay with getting people from the train, but sometimes we'd have people get up front. I had this one particular lady who went bananas on me again because she said I was racist because I wouldn't let her come up front. I hated black people because she was black. She wanted to get on in the front cab, and I was denying her the right to go up front when she wanted to go up. And this lady was causing enough of a problems of making a big enough stink. She did not go to guest relations. She was not one of those people who did that. She just wanted to berate me in the cab. So I just basically removed myself from that situation and got another driver or somebody who was watching on the platform and said, hey, can you take my train around the lap? I'll do your platform job here. Take a lap around. When you come back, I'll take the train back over. I'm not dealing with this lady anymore. We ended up letting her ride up front. It was another situation of do that or hold up all the trains while we go seek security and things like that. And you know, sometimes it's just easier to just let that person go, keep the trains moving. She was supposedly getting off at the Contemporary, and that way you just keep the trains moving, don't keep everybody backed up and stacked up waiting to come into the Magic Kingdom and waiting at the hotels. But this lady was really angry, and she was throwing a lot of, she was not profane, but she was definitely really looking to pick a fight with somebody, and she decided I was that guy. And so I just immediately removed myself from the situation. Said, I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to get myself involved with anything where I might say something wrong and escalate the situation. I just said, fine, sit here, got another driver. But she was the number 3 worst person that I dealt with while working at Disney. All right, we're at number 2. And if you've been watching Monorail Monday all along, you probably are a little bit familiar with this story. I was working at Epcot, and this is very soon, this is very early in the transition to the Mark 6 trains. We had Mark 4 trains, which were all seating, and then when we started adding on the Mark 6 trains, there was a lot of standing room. There's limited seating and a lot of standing room, though we were still asking guests to fold up their strollers. That was the policy for at least the first year or 2 years, couple of years. We were supposed to continue enforcing the fold your strollers up before boarding. The Mark 4 trains, of course, just had 2 benches right there, and you were knee to knee with people. There was no room to have strollers unfolded at all. People were told to fold them up, they wouldn't. Then they'd see the train car, and they were like, oh, I can't wheel this in. But when the Mark 6s came, it became a lot more challenging because there was room for maybe a couple of people to put their strollers in, but if they don't fold them up, you can't fit as many people, which at park close is a problem. So we're always encouraging people to fold your strollers. So this pregnant lady and her husband show up, and we're telling them, fold the stroller, fold the stroller, fold the stroller. And when the train gets here, you're gonna need to fold it up anyway, so let's, it's a good time to fold it up now. Well, they didn't fold it up. And as soon as the train opened up, everybody who did not have a bunch of stuff with them funneled right around them and got on the train. And then they started figuring out, oh man, we're not gonna fit on here unless we fold this up. So they did finally fold it up, but the guy was cussing at me, and he was basically throwing a fit, and she was yelling at me too. They didn't have the meltdown of some of the previous people, but they were yelling at me as they got on, and another cast member was with me, and we thought, okay, they finally got on. Thank goodness they're gone. But the problem was that the next couple of days, we dealt with this for the next couple of days because they did complain to guest services somewhere, and it got back to one of our supervisors who talked to me and another cast member, and what happened with this. So we told them about the situation, explained this guy and his pregnant wife, and they didn't fold the stroller up, and then they got mad at us when they didn't fold it, and then they had trouble getting on. The next day I'm getting asked about this, and the other cast members getting asked about what happened, explain what happened. He says, okay, well we got to talk to them, but they weren't worried about it. It's basically, he said these guys are just really too amped up, and we're buying what you guys are talking about, and they knew that there was this issue going on with people not folding up strollers, so they were, don't worry about it. The next day we got called back into the office to discuss this again, and the supervisor said, I remember vividly that he said, I think this guy is having a Vietnam flashback or something, because his story, every time I talk to him, his story gets wilder and more outlandish and a little crazier. So this guy just kept coming up with more stuff, and if you don't work at Disney, you might be surprised just how many people make something up or BS their way into some grand, crazy, insane story of something that happened. This guy basically by the end was saying that my fellow cast member, myself, we pushed his pregnant wife onto the train and kicked their stroller as they put it on the train. I mean, this guy was basically saying we assaulted them to get them on the train, which of course was complete BS. So the next day when he got this story and got the latest update from the guest, he said, all right, yeah, this is a non-issue. We're not going to deal with these people anymore. So that was the number 2 worst guest that dealt with while working at Disney. All right, we're at number 1. What's the worst guest that I've had to deal while working at Disney? This doesn't even include Universal. I could probably name a couple more people at Universal. Number 1 is the kid who peed on our stuff. If you've been watching Monorail Monday, you know this story. If you haven't, here's what happened. Mom and a kid got off of the monorail on morning arrivals at Magic Kingdom. So the monorail station's busy. Every train pulls in. It just completely dumps down the ramp. Busy morning. We're basically just watching the platform, keeping an eye on things, making sure if anybody needs help or if any wheelchairs need help, we're helping those folks out. But this woman and her kid get off, and instead of heading down the ramp, they start heading up towards the console, which you kind of notice that in the side of your eye. You're like, okay, what are these people doing? Because they're not going to the park. They seem to be coming up here to the console. And then they disappear. They don't go up into the console to talk to the lead. They basically disappear behind the console. And what are they doing? Now, if it was, if it was a dad with a camera or something, I assume that they must be taking a picture or waiting to take a picture of the next monorail coming in from the hotel side, from the Grand Floridian. But I didn't see them with a camera, and they just kind of hurried behind the console. Come around the side of the console to see what's going on, and the kid is peeing on the cabinet and behind the console that has all our stuff, our personal bags and items. And our water container is back there. It's not sealed very well. It's not like it's a tight cabinet fit. There's plenty of cracks and openings back there. So, and it wasn't closed. It was kind of half ajar. So this kid's peeing, not even off the railing. He's peeing on the cabinet with all our stuff and our water in there. And I just kind of, in my mind, or I said out loud, I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "He had to go." And I said, "We have bathrooms here, you know." And she said, "He had to go right now." I said, "The bathrooms are just at the bottom of the ramp. They're not that far away." And said he couldn't wait. This is a kid who's like probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, probably 8 or 9. Couldn't hold it anymore. So their solution was to pee on our stuff, basically on the back cabinet of this, not even off the railing, off into the bushes or something like that. He's faced the other way and just peed on our cabinet and our stuff. So that was just, I couldn't believe that people would make this this kind of decision, but this lady did steer her kid back there, and she just the whole way she left, she just kept yelling at us and saying, "You guys should be more respectful. He had to pee." And I'm thinking, maybe you could be more respectful and not pee on our stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of bathroom incidents, a lot of vomit stuff, but people can't always help that if they get sick. But when you're intentionally peeing on Disney property and cast member property, that's just disgusting. Should not happen. We have bathrooms right at the bottom of the ramp, and that was just absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe that was going on, and yet it happened. And there were all sorts of smaller incidents that happen all the time. People doing just nutty stuff, or things that just make you wonder what the heck's going on with people, what's wrong with people. In this world we're living in right now, I know everybody has seen some of these pictures or videos that people posted of kids like licking the entire railing in a queue line. I mean, what the hell? What the hell? It doesn't make any sense to me, but these people have been doing this weird stuff forever at Disney, and probably every other theme park too. So those are the top 5 worst guests I dealt with at Disney. There were a lot of them. Other honorable mention, crowd control. I worked crowd control in the parades a couple of times. Some of those guests are just absolutely awful. Stuff I didn't deal with personally, but I had coworkers who did. One cast member who got pushed into the train when it was coming in because the guest was mad that they weren't going to get to sit up front, and ended up going, being on medical leave for a couple of months because they got their back hurt in that incident. Guess cutting ropes in queue lines and then just making a mad charge up the ramp. There's just all kinds of nutty stuff that happened. So that's the top 5 worst guests at Disney that I dealt with. That's episode number 35, the debut of season 6. Stay tuned for episode 36, the second one of season 6. We're going to have that next week, every Monday for the next several weeks. Monorail Monday, more cast member stories and more behind the scenes stuff. Feel free to comment if you want to share anything else, or if you want me to tell you anything else about how things worked or any behind the scenes stories. Thank you, and as always, have a good time all the time.